What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised a Geek. This week, we keep up on the Ahsoka train and sort out our emotions following the newest episode. And Trailer Mania is here with the release of trailers for Aquaman 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and probably the most important trailer drop of the year, the Frasier Reboot. So let's get into it. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? I'm good. Just having some tossed salad and scrambled eggs over here. Uh, why the two of those things went together? Still, nobody ever knows. No one can answer me what that has to do with anything. I think Kelsey Grammer was just like on some painkillers or something and just
Tossed
made up
salads and
words.
scrambled eggs.
Uh,
Yeah, for those that don't know, that's the theme song of Frasier, which you should know because Frasier is one of like the all-American great sitcoms of all time.
but you got to think about it. Like Frasier was a spin-off of Cheers,
Mm-hmm.
which is even older. And
Yeah,
like that was before our time, Cheers, even though it was still around, but it was kind of like dying away when we were young. Cause I remember there being like Cheers and Seinfeld on at the same time or something. Like
yeah.
whatever.
Cheers was in the 80s and ended in like 92 or
Right.
94, somewhere in there. So it
Right.
made it to the 90s, and it was interesting. I actually just watched not too long ago, like the last two seasons of Cheers, because it was on Paramount, just like the
Uh-huh.
live channel. So I put it on, and watching early 90s sitcom was kind of crazy. I was like, man, so much of this stuff you can't say anymore.
Yeah. But it's like Cheers was an old show to us. So like
Yeah.
Frasier's an old show, I'm sure, to like the new generation where it's like they have no idea what the hell Frasier is. Frasier is like their mash. Like to us when
Yeah.
it comes on, like, what the hell is this? Something from the olden days. Frasier, what the I don't
What was
yeah,
funny
so
is you say that is it was every night on Fox. You'd watch, it'd be like Simpsons at 10.
mhm.
It'd be like two episodes of The Simpsons at 10 or Simpsons and something. Then it was like Frasier. And then MASH would come on and be like, time to go to bed. I'd see that opening and it was always like, oh, time for bed.
You're like, oh yeah, that's my alarm clock to go to sleep. That's my reverse alarm clock. That means it's bedtime.
The MASH theme song. Yeah, I don't watch MASH. I
No,
turn it
no,
off at
no.
Frasier. But for whatever reason, as a high schooler, I couldn't go to bed without watching two episodes of Frasier. So I,
That psychiatry, smart humor. That was like the first smart humor show they said. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
smart writing, big words, but still funny, and you watch it and you feel like you're smart. Like then Big Bang Theory happened, and that did it for people. Then later, like intelligence, nerdy, but funny.
Yeah. That was a little bit more nerdy than smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were more like pop culture geeky than
Sure.
smart. Like Frasier was very sophisticated humor, and some of it was real gentle but hilarious. And then it had the Three's Company feel of just chaos. it's it's high
It,
quality, and I can tell you right now. And I rewatched the Frasier trailer. Out of all the trailers we're going to talk about, I didn't rewatch any of the other ones, but I watched Frasier trailer like twice, and I was like, man, I'm really ready for some more Frasier Crane. I never knew the show. I didn't know it was actually made. I knew they kept talking about it, but I didn't know it was made. And now in a couple weeks, I get to watch more Frasier.
I knew that it was getting made, and I wasn't sure what the premise was going to be. And you kind of got the premise from the show. It looks like they're going to change some things.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's in a new city. Obviously, his son is older. Like Frederick's a man now. Remember little boy Frederick?
Mm-hmm. I remember
Uh,
that episode where he was all punk rock or goth.
my funniest Frederick moment was we're talking about Frasier, by the way. Um, for real. Like we didn't know if it would, but
Mm-hmm.
when Frederick saw like Daphne in the shower, do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
And then he ran out of the room and she came out yelling like he peeped at me in the shower. And he was like, all I saw was, and Fraser was like, Frederick, stop. And Mouse was like, let the boy speak.
Yeah.
Because he was a pervert for Daphne. Get
Yeah,
it?
he was. I get it. But if you weren't smart, you didn't get it. That was
Frasier,
good stuff.
the sitcom for people who think they're smart.
Yes. I agree with that. Or at least pretentious.
Yeah,
But it was good. I'm excited for more. I always Kelsey Grammer's great all the
sure.
time, and he has great comedic timing. And the idea of like a third phase of that character's life is kind of cool. So
Also underrated as the Beast. Like people
I really wish he would have
don't.
gotten an actual opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
Like he was in the worst X-Men movie.
right. But he looked great. He sounded right for the character. Like clearly too old to be doing it, but even then, but just come on, like Kelsey Grammer's voice coming out of the Beast, and he's all like professional and a professor, like the Beast is, and that was great.
If you told me that the character of Beast
Mm-hmm.
was developed and inspired by Frasier Crane, I would 100% believe you.
You could believe that.
I could 100% believe that they created that character in response to that. And I think the timelines, I think Frasier Crane probably existed first. So I don't remember. Well, Beast, X-Men are kind of old.
Yeah. We're going
Probably.
back to. You're wrong
But
about that.
but 90s like Animal Beast,
Yeah, possibly.
that could
Like
be
Blue
like the
Fur beat.
cartoon.
Yeah,
That could have been, they could have easily told that voice actor, just be Frasier Crane. Indubitably.
it's it's true.
So we tied it back. We tied it back to comics and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So super pumped for that. We got so much more to talk about this time, including spoilers, a great episode of Ahsoka that I can't wait to talk about. A couple more trailers we want to talk about before we do. You want to make sure you don't miss anything. So you're going to need to like, subscribe, and follow this channel wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your social media, at Raised A Geek. We are everywhere. We're on YouTube, so you can see us and we can wave at you. Hi. So definitely check us out everywhere there is to be checked out. And we're always looking for those 5-star reviews. So hook us up. And if you want to just write us a long form letter, raisethegeek@gmail.com. We are always down for some correspondence. Trailer Mania. Trailer Mania. We talked about the best one, which was the Frasier reboot already. And anybody who survived that conversation is here. We're going to talk about Aquaman 2 trailer, the end of the Snyderverse ?
I'm convinced it's never going to end, but go on.
It's never going to end. What do you think, man? I know, see, this is weird because you never watched Aquaman 1, so I can imagine your interest in this movie being exceptionally low because you weren't interested in the first one. But just curious what you thought of like this movie. We've talked several times about DC and they're kind of just where they are, their flailing of 2023, where everything's flopping and the movies really aren't that good. Curious, what'd you think of the trailer for Aquaman 2?
I mean, I don't know. It was colorful. Looked loud. Looked like a lot of stuff on screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you kind of said, I'm not really thinking I'm going to prioritize this movie just because I haven't even ever seen the first one. Aquaman to me is a character that I'm happy when people like him. Like I'm happy we talked about a few episodes ago about the New 52 and how Jeff Johns was writing Aquaman, and even in that trailer talking about like he's a lesser known, like kind of laughed at, scoffed at character for years. But then the movie did kind of give him respect. Like I give the first movie its flowers for making a bunch of money. People went and saw it. I think Jason Momoa being in it helped. People like him. He's kind of an enigmatic, whatever that word is, person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was never interested. So I mean, this trailer looked all right. I mean, I'm sure there's some spoilers in there because I haven't seen the first one. I know that like the one dude, I can't think of his name. Who's the other guy? Who was in Watchmen also. He's in the Insidious movies, right?
Yep.
Patrick
Wilson. I was gonna say Jason Patrick, but I know that's a dude from Speed 2 Cruise Control.
We're not talking about that yet. That's next week.
I should be next week now that we're saying it out loud.
I see he's in it and has like, so I'm sure his character went through some stuff in the first one, and I can obviously tell the Black Manta is still around, and
yeah,
now Aquaman's king of the underwater. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like to me, just kind of a generic superhero trailer. It's kind of what it looked like. I can still tell they can't get underwater stuff completely right. It still always kind of looks weird. But to me, it also did in Black Panther, and it also does in like the Avatar movie underwater stuff. So I don't know, man. I'm just kind of like no thumbs up, no thumbs down, just kind of sideways for me.
Yeah.
and with DC's recent track record, I'm really not finding it hard to be excited for anything from them at the moment. So I don't know. We'll see. How about you? I know you probably have a different outlook because you saw the first one.
I
So
went and saw the first one in theaters. I've never had the urge to ever watch it again. Um, the best part of that movie was the octopus playing drums, and I didn't see that happening in this one. So no octopus playing drums, no Chris, but it looked fun. It looked epic, which I can say even The Flash, which should have looked epic, didn't look as epic as Aquaman 2 does. So I mean, out of all of the DC movies that came out this year, why Aquaman 2 is the one that looks like that massive and epic is beyond me. I do like water movies. That's been documented many times.
You're on record of saying that.
Many
Yes.
times. I like movies that have to do with water, water world, being up there in just kind of classicness. But I mean, like you said, it's just CGI punching and explosions. Like I'm not in a rush to go see it. The James Wan of it is always, I think that's what kind of got me to go see the first one, was just James Wan doing a superhero movie, and I really think it paid off because he has a style that's just really great, and he's just an amazing director. So to see him with like a larger scale budget than he usually does with his little horror movies was really kind of cool. So him once again kind of being the leader, that in the director's seat for this one is tempting. So I mean, I'm going to be a little bit more interested in seeing it. Whether or not it's like a day one or even a theater thing, I won't know until December gets here.
Okay. Cool. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I'm not saying I'll never see it. And I'm not saying I'll never watch Aquaman 1. It's just not high on my priority list. And like the other big thing I think that is just killing this movie or any kind of momentum this movie might get is the same thing that happened to Shazam 2 and The Flash
Mm-hmm.
and Blue Beetle. It's like people are still very confused about what is going on in the DC movie world. Like we're gonna look back at this stretch of time and wonder, like, was the James Gunn announcement like really, really bad timing? Like, could they have waited? Could they have not said anything for a little while? He could have just been working behind the scenes and let these movies come out and still not tell people a year ago that you're rebooting everything. Okay, you tell everybody you're rebooting everything and you're recasting this, and Henry Cavill's not coming back, and we're gonna do another Batman, and here's my list of things I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
do. And then you still come out with Aquaman 2, starring Jason Momoa, and you still come out with The Flash, starring Ezra Miller,
And Shazam.
and Shazam, with all the same cast, and it just kind of has put this confusion, that are you rebooting or are you not? Oh, is it just a money thing? Like these movies were already in the pipeline? Because if you were just going to reboot, you could have just start from the announcement and build from there. Now we've had 4 movies that are just like these limbo movies, and this is one of them too. So it's like, what am I going to go see this for? Like, where is this going to go? What's it going to lead to? Nothing. Just is this? I don't know.
And
It's
what's
very
even worse is the fact that they've already said that like they could make a third one with Jason Momoa. So like they've already said we can finish the Aquaman trilogy. Like James Wan has said it, and like it's already been kind of out there. So then you're like, what the hell? Like,
so Jason Momoa is good enough for you guys, but not Henry Cavill. Like, make that. What's the sense?
yeah,
Make it
it's
make
it
sense.
it doesn't make sense. Yeah, why couldn't they just, even if they want to say anything about James Gunn, say, hey, we have James Gunn looking to direct our next Superman movie. We'll give you more details once we get through next year. And have James Gunn working quietly. And then first of the year next year, he steps out and says, this is what we're doing. This is what I've been working on all year. He could have teased it all year and built up the hype for it and get us all pumped for it. And then come January of 2025 or 2024, after all of these movies are done, he's like, bam, this is what we're doing. Starting next year, Superman Legacy, which I am directing. Here is our new Superman. Here's our new Lois Lane. Like, throw all of that shit at us on the 1st of January and have us all lose our minds. But instead, they gave it to us last year, or was it earlier this year?
I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
it was,
either. Whenever they
yeah.
did it, it was before Shazam, which Shazam was in like March. So it was, they still had 4 movies to do this year. So it was earlier this year where he basically was telling you none of these movies matter. So then, yeah, and the people showed that they didn't matter because they didn't show up for any of them. So I mean, Aquaman, I do feel like this one's going to make them money. Like I said, it looks huge. People do love Jason Momoa, as you said. They love character. James Wan says directing Fast and the Furious 7, he learned all about family and made this movie about family. That's 100% a quote.
Okay.
That he said. So he was like, he knew what he was doing after doing Fast and the Furious 7, how to make a perfect family movie.
James Wan, just make me Malignant too. Okay, that's what I want.
Fuck yes, man. I need to watch me some Malignant. I've been feeling it like it's time. Been a minute.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But
Aquaman.
yeah, I just I love the fact that they gave Amber Heard one frame.
Yeah.
In the trailer, that was, I mean, he's like married and has a kid, but they never showed her.
Right. I know.
Like in the trailer at the house. So I don't know. I guess she like abandoned him. He's a single parent, but they showed her one frame, and the man, people took that shit already. They grabbed it and they're like, here's Amber Heard. Like, that was your takeaway from this 3.5 minute epic ass trailer, was the one frame of Amber Heard punching a window.
Yeah. Problematic actors in superhero films. This is like this problem these studios are trying to navigate, and they don't know how. They didn't know how to promote the Flash because of Ezra Miller. Like, it was hard to promote, so they just made it all promoted around Batman.
Yeah.
Loki season 2 has, little bits and pieces of Kang here and there, but he's not as featured as he would be if Jonathan Majors was having all those problems.
Yeah.
And now we see Amber Heard in like 1 second of the Aquaman 2 trailer. Like, she's in there, but we don't want to talk about her, so don't ask us about her.
Well, and then, but the thing is they're in it because, like, I think Jonathan Majors is in like 6 episodes of Loki season 2, so like he's going to be part of that show. They don't want to show him in the trailers, but he's going to be there. So surprise, if you have a Jonathan Majors problem, you might have a Loki 2 problem.
Yeah, they don't want you talking about it until you start watching the episode and be like, all right, this is good, I'm gonna watch it, even though like, we're not gonna put him in the trailers, all over the trailers, but he's in there heavily. But definitely not promoting it, like I said, the way they would.
Yeah,
I think crazy
yeah
time.
I don't give a shit about any of that, but
Sure.
It is what it is. But yeah, Aquaman 2 trailer, I can't remember the subtitle for that movie, so I'm gonna keep calling it Aquaman 2. King of the Seas,
Fish King Man.
Fish King Man. Yes, that's exactly it. So Aquaman 2 comes out December 20th. Let us know what you thought. Hit us up on social media at Raised A Geek. We're everywhere, and we would love to talk about some Aquaman 2 with you. But we'd also love to talk with you about, because I want to talk to Don about it, because he just watched this trailer before I hit record. So I know nothing about his thoughts. Aquaman, I could guess. I couldn't even guess for this one. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, came out in 2020. We've been waiting for a couple years. They said it's a 3-part game. Been waiting for part 2. Trailer dropped earlier this week, as well as a release date of February 29th. So Leap Day. Nothing counts on Leap Day. Real life is for March. February 29th, 2024 is the release date. Don, hot take, rate, fresh impression. What'd you think of that trailer, man?
Put it in my veins.
That trailer is straight hype.
Yeah.
Like, just, and what was funny was, like, before I watched the trailer, I was just like, I just got done with 16. Do I really need more Final Fantasy? And like, my brother-in-law sending me texts, and he's like, hey man, this game's 100 hours long. And I'm like, fuck, 100 hours.
You still got 5 months.
Yeah, I'm still just sitting there like, man, that just seems so massive. Maybe I'll skip this one. I said that before Final Fantasy 16, and then I played that demo, and I immediately pre-ordered it. No way in hell I'm skipping this game, but because it just looks amazing. I want to ride a Segway as Cloud. It reminds me of, and I don't know if you played it or not, but did you play Final Fantasy 13?
That's the one with
Lightning?
No, that's one I skipped.
I love that game, but it's very linear and kind of just like tells a story. It's kind of like 16 was. You had a couple open areas, but for the most part, you kind of were on a straight path. which I enjoy that style of Final Fantasy. I don't necessarily, I'm not the biggest open world person. I have ADHD. I get distracted, and then I do too many side quests and get lost, and then I never come back. But this, when they hit Final Fantasy 13-2, it was like this massive, like, different style of game. They were like, hey, you guys complained about the linear, here's the open world. And it felt like it was like a bigger game, and that's really what this looks like. It looks like, I mean, you had chocobos climbing mountains with their claws, riding segways and dune buggies, playing video games. I mean, it was like a Yakuza game there. You're playing Rock'em Sock'em Robot and darts, going bowling.
Sure, like the return of the mini games.
But then
Final
this just
Fantasy is known for
epicness of the idea of, it's a 2-disc PS5 game, the first one. I have to buy this game physical. I've been buying all these games digital. My last couple Final Fantasies have been digital just because I don't want to wait to go get them the next day. This one, I feel like with 2 discs, they're putting it all on the discs instead of making you download shit. And then now it started as a Final Fantasy VII remake. We've really stepped away from what Final Fantasy VII, that story was. And there's been kind of some rumblings that this game is actually like kind of a stealth sequel / reboot / and by the end of this trailer, spoilers, but check this trailer out. At the end of this trailer, they're talking about timelines converging.
Mm-hmm.
So are we converging with the original Final Fantasy VII timeline? I don't remember timelines in Final Fantasy VII. It's been a minute.
Yes.
But I don't remember timelines converging and Sephiroth questioning who he is and what he is. And at the end, when they said that, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Are they going to meet up with their PS1 counterparts?
That'd be something.
That would be really something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be. Like you just said, it's been a while.
Oh, I know.
There's a lot of stuff about that game. I'm sure I don't remember, like, all the stuff with Cloud and his early days, and the I was like, oh yeah, he did. There was part of that game where you were like fighting with Sephiroth. Also, how many times did they say Sephiroth in that trailer? Like 100. And they always say Seph. It's Sephiroth. My whole life I've been saying Sephiroth, and that's how I'm going to keep doing. I don't care if it's wrong.
That was the curse of, like, back in the day before voice acting video games. I mean, we played Final Fantasy VII with no voice acting.
Yeah.
We were watching cutscenes with no voice acting. You just watch the animation. And when those emotional beats hit, they hit hard, even without the voice.
Yeah.
But we're reading all those names, and yeah, we put that. So we were always Sephiroth. So yeah, when they say it, Sephiroth,
like
I'm like, feels weird. Right. Yeah,
we're the same guys who called Guile Gully for our entire lives.
And I still struggle with calling him Guile. I still call him Gully.
Yeah, me too.
I don't call him Guile because, yeah, you just see these names and you say them how your 8-year-old brain says them, and
he looks like a Gully anyway. But anyway, yeah, this game, of course, I'm gonna buy right away. Loved the first part. My stupid self, I don't know why, for the longest time, when this was originally announced and I knew it was gonna be 3 parts, I just assumed it was gonna be like, here's part 1, here's 3 months, here's part 2, just to like get you through it. And like, dude, how many years has now been since the first one came out? Like 2 or 3 years? Like,
the first one came out in the fall of 2020, so like September 2020, and this one's coming out in February of 24. So yeah, almost 4 years, 3.5 years. It's way too long. It's
like I just said, I thought these were kind of gonna kind of be like consecutive releases to get you through the game, and it's almost like you have to not necessarily replay the first one, but you could, because it's been that long. One thing I am worried about is the leveling. Like, I read somewhere you're not going to carry over your levels from the first game. Like, it doesn't carry over saves. So that's kind of a bummer. It's like, what did I do all that work for? Like, we're in the same story. I should have my levels and everything I learned, and don't reteach me the basics. I guess you can, because I probably will forget them, but it's like, that learning curve at the beginning of a game where they got to show you everything. You're like, you're going to show me everything again? But I don't know. I guess I'll kind of face that complaint when we get there. Maybe. But the game looks amazing. Looks amazing.
Maybe they'll go the Jedi Survivor route, which you played Fallen Jedi, and you learned all of your like techniques of like double jump and like all of these like dash jumps and all of these like Jedi skills to like solve the puzzles. And I haven't played it yet, but when I was reading reviews when Jedi Survivor came out, they said you start that game with all of that stuff and you learn new skills that help you through this game. So then it's like you do, even though they don't bring your save over, you're not starting all of a sudden the same Jedi, but with no powers all of a sudden, or finding a reason to take all your powers away. So you have to relearn all of them. That's always the worst when you play a game and you're super powerful for the first, like up to the first boss, and then you lose your powers and then you have to like re-power up. I always hate that because you feel so good. They make you feel so good in that opening. And they're like, this is what you could be like by the end of the game, but you got to work for it. And you're just like,
yeah.
Oh.
No, you gave me a taste.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully it's something along those lines.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of like got something. I know they said if you have a save for remake, they have something special for you, but I don't know what that means. So
we'll see come February. But yeah,
and you said it. But my question to you: did that make you want to replay remake?
Not necessarily. I mean, yes and no. Yes, because I mean, I was pumped for that couple minutes. I was watching the trailer, like, yeah, but no, because I have too many other things to play. Yeah. And too many other new things to play. I've already played through it, but never say never. I can't say that as it gets closer, maybe I won't dabble again. I still think I never beat the Yuffie extra little DLC. There's still some of that left for me to do too. So we'll see.
Throughout this journey, last question, and then we'll get to Ahsoka for the people who are screaming at their radio. We promise. But throughout this 3 years, this journey, you obviously haven't done it yet, but have you thought about going back and trying Final Fantasy VII?
What do you mean, the original one?
Like to see the story, to see the changes, to see the difference.
I can't say it hasn't crossed my mind, but I've never probably been really close to doing it.
Just curious.
And I don't even have the means to do it. I don't even know how I would find that game to play that game.
Right now, you can play it on your phone.
Well, right. Yeah.
So yeah, it would just be a matter of grabbing it someplace. But yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Why have you?
I've thought about it. I've started that game tons of times, and even remake, I've restarted a couple times. I've played through, I think, that game almost to like halfway through the second time. When the Intergrade DLC came out, I started replaying the original game to get ready for the DLC once it hit PS5, because I played it on PS4 originally, so I dabbled with the PS5 one. But yeah, I've thought about it, but I just haven't done it.
Sure.
Anyways, let's talk about Ahsoka Part 5, Shadow Warrior, now streaming on Disney Plus, and was shown in theaters the night of release for the people who were able to get tickets. The very simple description that I have in front of me for this episode is as follows: Ahsoka confronts her past while Hera and her allies undertake a rescue mission. So, in a nutshell, that is what happened in this episode. Yes. We were coming off of chaos across the board, where we had Morgan and Baylan Skoll and the bad guys trying to find the coordinates and the map to where Admiral Thrawn is, so they could take their Hyperloop Halo and jump across galaxies to find Thrawn. And we had the good guys trying to stop them, and we had Ahsoka leaning really heavily into the fact of, if we can't go, no one should go. And she was very in the camp of, we need to destroy this map as soon as possible. And then you had poor Sabine, who just wants to save her friend Ezra and doesn't necessarily want to do that. And we ended that episode with the badass Baylan Skoll conversation, where he basically reached into her soul and laid it bare for her and forced her to confront that she really doesn't have it in her to destroy it, because she wants to save her friend. And then they hyper jumped away, and Hera's son with green hair said, "Mom, I don't feel so good." So that's where we were to pick up this Oh no, sorry. Anakin came back because Ahsoka was dead and in the world between worlds. And then Anakin was just like, "Hello." And she's like, "Hello, master." but a little bit more questioning and less British.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started this episode. So the hype was high for an Anakin centric, more or less, with Hayden Christensen in his de-aged glory.
De-aged glory indeed. Yes.
What what'd you feel about this episode? And then I'll get to the big question for us. But just what'd you think, man?
I had a good time. I had a great time.
Spoilers.
Great time even. Yeah, spoiler. I liked the episode a lot. I did. I was wondering how they were going to kind of follow up on the ending there and where they were going to kind of go. I know we were expecting then to see some conversation between Anakin and Ahsoka, knowing their past and everything those two characters have done, and like all on stuff we haven't watched, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But you know, throughout Star Wars, there's a known heavy relationship between those two as master and apprentice. So I was hyped, and the episode kind of delivered, even though, and this seems to be a theme we're talking about in all these. It's didn't hit me as hard as maybe it did some because I didn't live all that stuff.
The 12 years of Ahsoka.
Right. So I think being a Rebels watcher has probably you felt the payoff of this show, like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, the stuff with Ezra being live action just for a second, like his hologram, and Sabine being around, and Ahsoka, and all this stuff from that you're seeing in Rebels, and like the mural painted on the wall. That's all like fan service for Rebels fans. I feel like this episode probably served very heavily as fan service for the Clone Wars fans.
Yeah,
which was a show that ran before Rebels, much longer, has more episodes and more seasons, and is kind of like if you're a big fan of Anakin, a lot of people are like, well, you got to watch Clone Wars. It's kind of his redemption from what people think was a rough time during the prequel movies. They kind of think he got a bad shake, a bad rap, and Clone Wars is kind of what made him into like more of a fan favorite. And this show, I guess, just you can tell in these flashbacks and stuff, it's they're taking the Clone Wars and made it live action. And for fans of that show, this has to be awesome for you guys. It really has to be. I can understand all the love and the hype and like people like, I can't believe they did this. Thank you, Filoni. You just made this Clone Wars dream come true. Like, I'm just appreciating it in a different way. I'm just like, but I'm still appreciating it. But there's just this level of I can't appreciate it as much as maybe some, because it's like if you or me were to take a favorite cartoon as a kid and see it brought to life as adults, it'd be different. It would feel different. Like I can be a nostalgia, but we just don't have that. Yeah. So that part kind of hurts. But I mean, the episode was entertaining. It was fun. I'm still following it along. Like I kind of said in our last episode about episodes 3 and 4, it's kind of balanced for me, so I don't feel like I'm, just an uninvited guest at a party, like a party crasher. I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like I'm okay. I'm getting to know these characters just based on what's going on in this show. Not knowing everything kind of sucks, but I'm getting through it and still enjoying myself and still saying this show is really good. So yeah, I really like this episode. We can get into it more, but how did you feel about it?
Very similar. I really liked this episode. It definitely felt different than the first 4. I was wondering what was going to happen in this episode that was like, why does it need to be in theaters? So I was expecting some really big like moments, which I don't feel like this episode really gave us, like Admiral Thrawn returning like I expected.
That was your prediction.
That was my prediction. I really thought we were going to see Thrawn somewhere in this episode, at least by the end. I thought we were going to follow that path, which we never did. That we never caught up with Morgan, Sabine, Balin. None of them. We stayed pretty much on this planet with Hera looking for Ahsoka and Sabine and trying to figure out what happened. And Ahsoka was in the world between worlds for most of this episode, and that's where we spent a large chunk, which is probably a big deal. But just overall, this whole episode just felt bigger, and it was a lot slower than I expected it to be, but not in a bad way. And it's just like you said, not watching Clone Wars, there's a lot of stuff I know went right over my head. but they did it in a way in which I felt like I still knew what was important. And like, I was like, oh, I know that's a big deal, but I don't know why. But I could still feel the emotion behind it. So like, I still felt like I was there. But yes, it does make you feel like you missed out a little bit, where I'm just sitting there like, man, I really wanted to hit me as hard as when I went on Twitter afterwards and saw everybody
Sure.
freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, that episode was bigger than I thought, but it still felt
Mhm.
big to me.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. My big question to ask, which we've kind of already touched on, was did this episode still have impact without watching previous shows? Which we both said that it still did. I still feel like by the end of this episode, when Ahsoka and a robot, which I can't remember his name, Dwayne Wade or
Dwayne Wade is a
what's
basketball player.
what's what's the robot's name? Oh, Hugh
Not
Yang.
Dwayne Wade.
Hugh
Not Dwayne
Yang.
Wade.
Sorry, Dwayne Wade.
Uh,
Hugh Yang is his
this
name.
okay.
When him and Ahsoka, the robot and Ahsoka, were in, they Pinocchio themselves and went in the whale, and the
Mm.
whales can hyper jump, which I guess happened in Rebels, but I don't know how or why, but I still was along for the ride. But seeing the look on Ahsoka's face and just seeing almost like a calm over her after her experience in the world between worlds was really cool. And I felt that emotion, the music, the performances, like everything was so strong that even though I didn't fully grasp what that emotion really was, I still felt it.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And to answer your thing about kind of like why was this episode the one chosen to be in theaters? And I think you kind of mostly answered it is because everything did feel big.
Yeah.
Everything felt cinematic, like maybe more so than the stuff previously on the show has felt like. The sets were big, the fights, Anakin and Ahsoka dueling with each other with lightsabers. I mean, that's theater level stuff.
Just the
The wa-
whales.
the whales on the screen, big budget, big movie film stuff.
Yeah.
So I can totally see them like, yeah, somebody at Disney watched this episode and like, we could put this one on the big screen and be cool with it. And just kind of it featuring Anakin Skywalker and his redemption tour
Mm-hmm.
is kind of a thing that is happening.
Yeah.
And it kind of started it started in the Clone Wars cartoon and it's carried over kind of into Obi-Wan a little
Yeah.
bit.
A little bit.
And now this I don't know, it kind of begs the question, is Anakin the most popular character in Star Wars at the moment? At the moment I think he is, but like maybe ever? Do people like that character that much now? um it's hard to say because you look around and people just get excited whenever he pops up,
Yeah.
and it's so crazy how much hate he got during the prequel movies from people, and they didn't like the performance, they didn't like the character. um so I'm kind of happy to see this redemption for him. A guy who still wants to do it obviously all these years later. And I don't know, I like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. In this
Yeah.
episode alone, him jumping back and forth between like a teacher and a Jedi, and he's got the kind eyes, to then him kind of like turning on the Darth Vader stuff and
Yeah.
being evil and profound, and you could tell on the dark side, and just like his facial expressions when you can tell that's like Darth Vader you're looking at. It's
Yeah.
just you know um so yeah, just that stuff alone I think justifies it being in theaters, just the Anakin of it all. I don't know.
I agree. And
Yeah.
let's talk about Anakin a little bit more as we dive into that. And I agree with you. Like, I think 7 years of Clone Wars probably endeared Anakin to a lot of Star Wars, you know, hardcore Star Wars fans. I'm trying to think of a
Hmm.
better way to say it than that, but that's what I came up with.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely helped. And then yeah, seeing the struggle that he had as Darth Vader for Obi-Wan before he really went full bad, to kind of see that struggle with him dealing with Obi-Wan before he time jumped into being an older man in a couple of years, I think was definitely another redeeming arc. So I definitely agree with you on some of those. those aspects. But I really enjoyed the Anakin scenes here. I know they were recreating a Clones Wars episode. I obviously knew that, and there were characters that people knew, and I saw on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh my God, Colonel Rex," and other things that I probably got that wrong. But
Captain Rex, I think.
it was still really cool to see the Clone Wars, knowing it was the Clone Wars, even without watching the Clone Wars. It was still cool to see that flashback and to have little kid Ahsoka, but still being adult Ahsoka, kind of like in her body, like why are we here, and seeing the emotional impact of that war, and as they kind of alluded to with that, with her just being always a warrior, and she was a Jedi, but a different kind of Jedi, and I, like I said, got all of that without watching the 12 years of Ahsoka history. And I
Mm-hmm.
really just thought Anakin kind of being that teacher, because he was kind of, they were there in a memory, but he was still kind of like his present self, in air quotes there, of like, why are we here? What are we doing? And still trying to teach her and showing her what she needed. And almost like he was kind of like at the gates of heaven, he's like Saint Peter, like kind of there being like, am I gonna let you in? I don't know yet. um,
Prove yourself.
prove
Yeah.
yourself, or it's not your time yet, but I need to give you this wisdom so you can go back and do what's right. And it was done. I was like captivated by it.
And since you mentioned her, the young Ahsoka, shout out to Ariana Greenblatt, that actress. You realize she played Baby Gamora also.
I saw that tweet where it was
Yeah.
like she was in Barbie and Baby Gamora, and
Yeah, she just was in Barbie, and then she's young Ahsoka, and she's like Baby Gamora. That's a good run for, you know, fans of nerd stuff.
right,
Um,
that's
yeah,
a 1 2 3 cast there of genre
yeah,
stuff.
most definitely. But it was cool. Like I said, I feel like it would have hit very hard, and we'd probably be like, weeping tears of joy if Clone Wars meant something to us and we watched it, and then you get to see it like recreated in real life with Hayden Christensen, and he's wearing
Right,
the costume and he's got the haircut, and just like, come on. Um, so yeah, you know, jealous of all y'all who
100%. This is the
who
first
are.
time I've been jealous of the Star Wars elite.
I never thought I would be, right?
No, usually we're here talking shit about
Right.
Star Wars because it's just not for us. And this time I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I wish it was for me.
I know.
Now this is the one that's really not for me, but I'm like loving it. It's really weird. The ones
It's
that were
strange.
for me, like Obi-Wan, I was like, this sucks. Baby Leia with her little legs. And this
Yeah.
one, yeah, this one I'm just like in love with. And it makes me want to watch all of the Star Wars. I just got done buying a bunch. I rebought the original 6 on Blu-ray because I was like, I only have DVDs. Um, I want the
In that voice, did you say it?
in that, yeah, that's why I told Amazon. I was like, I only have the DVDs. Give me the Blu-rays. And Amazon was like,
Gimme.
okay, gimme. Haven't watched them yet because I don't sit still. But
One day.
regardless,
Yeah.
this, like I said, this whole episode was super cool. I loved the fact that by the time we got to the end of this, like, and I read this somewhere on Twitter, so it wasn't something that I caught, but I thought
Mhm.
it worked for me, where they were talking about by the end of this episode, we started, as I said, when I started the kind of the recap or setting up this episode, Ahsoka was very like, hey, if we can't go, no one should go. Destroy the map, destroy the map, destroy the map. But that's not really the Jedi way. And by the end of this episode, she kind of wasn't the Jedi that is just about war. She was like more of like an actual like real Jedi, and she was there like, hey, Jedis are here to help. Jedis save people. We worry about, we're not going to sacrifice people to try to win. Our job is to save Sabine and Ezra. That's what
Mhm.
we're going to go do, and we'll deal with everything else that comes out of that in the when it happens. When we need to worry about it, we'll worry about it, but we're going to go save Sabine and Ezra. And like that wasn't the Ahsoka we've had this whole show. And
Sure.
her with Anakin, her seeing her past and her going through that, I feel like that's spot on. And I just really thought that was really cool, of just because I felt that, but I couldn't put it into words until I read a couple like different people's takes on it. And I was like,
Mhm.
man, that's spot on. That is so good.
So in like video game terms, she basically leveled up.
She leveled up, yes.
Okay.
She's like an actual Jedi now, as opposed to just like a
warrior
machine of war. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a warrior Jedi, because she was raised and trained during the Clone Wars, so she was only there to like destroy. So
Sure.
that's what she knows, is destruction. And by the end of this episode, she, like I said, leveled up, and it just, I felt that emotion I felt without knowing that. Even before I even read that. After I read that, then I was like, "Oh shit, that's right." That's the emotion I was feeling when this episode ended.
I can dig it. I can feel that. Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many levels to this, and the more stuff that I read from like the Star Wars, purists, and the people who know, and the people who watch who the show is for, and the more I read from them, I'm just like, man, this show is so good. And just
Mm-hmm.
those little things that I get from them without even watching the show. So I can't even imagine if I grew up watching the show. We were a little old to really be able to fall into Clone Wars when it first started airing. If we grew up with that shit and it was something where we were like 10 years old watching the fucking Clone Wars, I would be just, I could feel it. Like I can feel that journey that they're on, and it's awesome.
It would be like, for us, like an example, just I'm thinking off the top of my head, this one probably isn't the same, but like the X-Men cartoon growing up. If the first X-Men movie came out and they're like, guys, this is a direct sequel to the X-Men cartoon. Like, we're gonna have all the same characters and all the same stories, and like it's just the X-Men cartoon but live action. We'd be like, give it to me. Yeah, and that's what is happening right now for Clone Wars fans. Like,
Well,
they're getting
and with following your example, didn't you feel just the smallest portion when you saw Professor X and Doctor Strange in that wheelchair, and the little music in the
right.
background? Like,
Yeah.
they gave you it for a second. But
Yeah.
seeing Patrick Stewart as the Professor X that we do know, that is our Professor X, because
In
he's
the
just
orange wheelchair, in the
in
orange floating wheelchair,
yes,
yeah.
in the like picture perfect
Or
floating wheelchair,
yellow, yeah,
and
yeah.
being that character
Mhm.
was awesome. That was the best part of that movie. It
Right.
might not be true, but it was
It was
it
one
was
of them.
awesome.
Yeah,
There were
yeah,
some
so
Sam Raimi parts of that movie which were awesome. So I can't like say just seeing Patrick Stewart cameo was the best part, because Sam Raimi is a beast of directing. So
they're talking about him for Secret Wars now.
I saw that.
I've been seeing that. We'll
I
see.
don't know if he's got the vibe for that. He's a little bit funky,
I know,
but
I know. Anyway.
that's a whole other conversation. That's not had nothing to do with Star Wars or Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Have you thought about watching anything else?
Sure. Like I said, I went in and looked at the episodes of Clone Wars, and I was like reading through the descriptions. There's 150 episodes, so that's already hard enough. But like just reading through them, I was like, oh, that one sounds good. It's like, that sounds like a filler. That sounds like 25 minutes of filler. That's a side adventure. There's just too much. If there
What
wasn't so much, I might be able to. Like, I cannot commit to. I know they're 25 episodes, but do the math. 25 minutes times 150. Like, there's a lot of time that you're gonna have to invest to get this experience, and I think it's, I don't know, maybe too late.
my thought process in this is,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go through, because Disney Plus put up their like required watching for Ahsoka, and there's like 20 episodes across 3 shows. And
Mm-hmm.
part of me thinks I'm going to watch those and be like, Disney feels that these are like the key Ahsoka moments. And I'm really thinking that maybe I might start putting those on.
Yeah, that's a lot less of a time commitment than
20 at 20, it's not too
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Can get through a couple, 20 days at lunch. I don't know. I'm
It also
thinking I might go that way. Definitely through Star Wars. Like I said, Rebels, I did the first season of Rebels. I just need to kind of go back to it.
Mhm.
But that's always my struggle. I like to start shows. I rarely finish them.
Well, even for a second during this, I was like, should I watch the prequel movies again? Because I haven't seen those in a long time, and I think I've only seen them all once. Maybe the first one I've seen more than once. Um,
It's been a
but then
minute,
it's been a minute, so yeah, I was thinking, should I? I don't know. Maybe one day when I'm really bored and I got nothing else to do.
right?
Um, but who knows? So yeah, I've kind of been thinking of watching some of the older stuff, but that's just a good sign of that the show is good because it's making you think that stuff.
Yep.
You know, Mandalorian I liked, and it didn't make me think about doing that. Andor, Andor, I did rewatch Rogue One because of Andor,
Yeah.
but that show was really good. And like we kind of said in this episode, Andor and this show so far are like 1A, 1B right now for Disney Plus shows, I think. And they're almost interchangeable as to which one is 1A, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I love the fact that there's a Star Wars show that I cannot wait for Tuesday so I can watch it.
And this might be like a hot take. This show is better than any Marvel Disney show. Right?
I can I'd have to sit and really think about it and really think about the Marvel shows, but
Not to like compare them or like
yeah.
say, because I know they're two totally different things, but like some people are like, oh, Disney Plus puts out weak stuff. Not this time, man. This is good. This is
Mhm.
like this. I think they're starting to realize this could be like a subscription seller. They're like advertising it all over the place. You know what I mean? Um, I saw like an ad for Disney Plus, $1.99 a month or something at an introductory price, and Ahsoka's all over that thing. So I think they kind of know what they got.
They definitely know what they got.
It's been really good.
Yeah, I mean it's the first Disney Plus show to get shown in theaters. They know what they got.
Yeah, yeah.
They know that, and I bet you that they don't talk about these numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but I can guarantee you that they're good.
Yeah.
So they know what they got, and that's why they're pushing Ahsoka as hard as they are. Even the bashers of, whatever wokeness or that, they've been really quiet on this show unless you really are in bed with them. Usually they still pop in my feeds just because of Star Wars or Marvel, and I'll still see little bits, and I try to block as many of them as possible, but I I came across one once, like during the second episode of Ahsoka. So like even they're quiet.
Good. Keep them quiet.
Yeah,
Keep them
exactly.
quiet.
Keep them quiet. I don't like them making money being negative.
Yeah.
You make money being positive. Be a beacon of positivity in this world and make money doing that.
As we bash like half the things we talk about.
We're not bashing today.
In a fun way, guys.
In a fun way, not negatively woke.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ahsoka, episode 5 or part 5. I wrote down the name somewhere, which was called Shadow Warrior, was outstanding. I really kind of almost want to watch it again. I think I've watched every episode so far twice of this show. I'm digging it. I am here for more. I have a feeling we're going to continue talking about it because we are enjoying the hell out of this show. And what else are we going to talk about? It's not Halloween month yet. We're working on our spooky season stuff. That's coming.
In the works, pre-production.
Pre-production. What kind of horror? And let us know. Any scary movies you want us to talk about? Last year we talked about Hocus Pocus 2. Do you want us to talk about that again?
We'll talk about it again. We don't care.
Let us know. And I mean, if you don't tell us, then we don't know. So hit us up on our socials at Raised A Geek, YouTube at Raised A Geek, Spotify, Raised A Geek, Raised A Geek at Gmail. Type in Raised A Geek, and I'm pretty sure we pop up now. So definitely hit us up. Let us know if there's anything as we're coming in real rapidly hitting October, which is fucking insane. We'll hit October. About to be Halloween. We want to talk about some scary shit. So give us some scary shit to talk about. Reach out. Give us a helping hand. Don, final thoughts. Ahsoka, part 5, Shadow Warriors, or Aquaman 2, Frasier, Final Fantasy, anything we talked about today.
No, I think we covered everything pretty well. Been enjoying Ahsoka pretty much a lot. So that didn't make sense what I just said. Pretty much a lot. But
pretty much a lot.
I've been enjoying it pretty much a lot. So
then
we're good.
I think we need to get out of here and play some Remnant and try to kill the Undying King.
Nobody knows what that means.
Nobody knows what that means. There's someone out there that's like, hell yeah, I play Remnant. They know about the Ash King, or what's the Fallen Ashes? I don't even know the subtitle of that game, but I played the shit out of some Remnant. 16 hours into that game. We put some hours into Remnant. So let's
crickets.
I know. Let's go put some more in. Let's go put some more in. So we can go do that. It's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for checking out. So for Raised a Geek, I am Chris.
And I'm Don.
Got your line there, huh? Thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.